My YouTube family, welcome to Blake Handshake. Another day, another opportunity for another video. And thank you for watching. If you haven't yet, subscribe to my channel at no cost to you and enjoy some content. I understand that right now it may not be the most professionally done, but I'm doing my best and I'm learning as I go along. Anyway, without further ado, let's get right into business. So I've been in South Korea for a little over 3 years now. 3 years and 5 months, almost 3.5 years. But at the beginning of March, end of April, when my contract finishes at the beginning of March, I plan on leaving Korea for good. Maybe I'll visit in the future just for hiking and nature, but in terms of living and working there, my time will be finished. So you might be wondering to yourself, well, Blake, why are you leaving South Korea? And in this video, I'm going to address those questions as best I can. Before I go on, I just want to make it clear, I'm not trashing South Korea. South Korea has done a lot for me, given me valuable teaching experience, gave me the opportunity to pursue a master's in TESOL, and for that I'll always be grateful. It gave me the opportunity to live abroad and experience a different culture outside of my own. So for those things, help me become more open-minded, a little more just well-rounded. So I will always be grateful and thankful for those opportunities. So yes, I am leaving, but I have nothing but thankfulness and a grateful attitude towards South Korea. No place is perfect, as I said before, and just because I'm saying the reasons I'm leaving does not necessarily mean I'm saying you shouldn't go to Korea, you shouldn't work in Korea. Everyone makes their own decisions. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to explain a few reasons to why I'm leaving Korea. Where do I begin? The reasons are in no particular order at all. I'm just gonna talk about the top reasons. I think one of the top reasons I want to leave Korea is because of the work culture. I'm not picking on Korea, but sadly it does have a high suicide rate. And I think Korea and Japan are very similar in terms of the work culture. It's a lot of pressure, it's very stressful. As I mentioned in my cons about Korea, you usually work long hours, and yeah, I just feel a lot of the time I'm stressed, and I've not always gone along with my bosses in Korea. They just have a different mentality, and I have a different, I guess, style of teaching, a different style of interacting with kids. I'm not as extreme about education as they are. I'm not as extreme about just in general. As I've said in the last video, a lot of kids here are under stress because of the education system. So I don't like to stress my kids out. I'm not very extreme. I like to be more laid back and fun. Sure, I like to teach, and that's my goal. I want my kids to learn, but I digress. I just feel like the bosses I've had, and I have not always gone along, and therefore an already stressful work culture becomes more stressful when you and your boss don't jive well. So the work culture is stressful, along with the fact I get tired of the whole hierarchy system. I get tired of having to respect my boss just because they're older than me. I get tired of, because I'm on the lower end of the hierarchy ladder, I'm never considered. I get tired of being invited to meetings where everything's always in Korean. No one wants to translate for me. It's just inconvenient, and honestly, Korean parents, where do I begin? They just complain about everything. Nothing's good enough. And keep in mind, I teach young children, right? It's not like I'm teaching high school kids. Even for young kids, parents will complain about anything. And for example, oh, well, let me back up a little bit. So Korean parents typically tend to take their child's side over the teacher's side. So if the kid complains about, for example, oh, I wasn't first in line, The parent, instead of trying to understand why the teacher did that, will just automatically demand, hey, make my kid first in line. Or, I've also learned in Korea they don't like discipline, and when you're strict with kids, you get in trouble. So when I'm in Korea, like growing up in America, like teachers can be strict. And I think Korean teachers can be strict too. But if you're a male and if you're a foreigner, they typically don't like it when you're strict with kids. So therefore, sometimes I've gotten complaints over the years because I hurt a kid's feelings, or because I was too harsh on a kid, and like kids who don't behave well in school, parents will typically try to find a way to blame you, the teacher. Now, to be fair, that can happen anywhere, but I'm just talking about my personal experience because I've never taught anywhere else. So I feel like in this culture, kids are babied a lot, and I get tired of I'm not allowed to discipline the way I feel like is right. And so it's not like I'm screaming at the kids. It's not like I'm like doing something terrible. It's just scolding. But I just feel like Korean parents, they'll never directly tell you what the problem is. They'll be nice to you when you're around them, but then they'll just go to your boss and complain. And your boss will have a talking to you. And I don't know. And not just with parents. Like if a coworker has a problem with you, most of the time they'll just go to the boss instead of talking to you directly. So the work culture is stressful all around, and it's not really for me. And I think 6 more months is enough for me. Another reason I have decided to leave Korea soon is I have my own personal opinion on the coronavirus. I personally think it's plandemic, scamdemic, call it what you want, but I'm not going to talk about that in this video. So I'll just call it the the pandemic. And since coronavirus started, like we've been wearing masks in Korea, and they did the whole vaccination thing, and more than 80% of the population has received the COVID shot. And here we are 2.5 years later, still wearing masks. I don't get it. Like, I don't even know what to say. Like, Korea and other Asian countries like Japan, Indonesia, maybe China, but Thailand, they're still forcing their citizens to wear masks. And honestly, I'm tired of wearing masks all the time. I had a really terrible cough for like several weeks. And yeah, I eventually went to the doctor and I got some medication. And the cough got a little better. But when I came back to the States, like I've been here for almost 2 weeks now. I leave in 3 days. But being here for the amount of time I've been here, that cough is essentially gone now. And I guess the point I'm making is I think wearing a mask all the time, combined with the air pollution, really gave me a terrible infection in my lungs or something. And just constantly having to breathe in dirty air, and I get headaches, and I feel lightheaded sometimes, and it's just uncomfortable all day wearing that mask, talking, and I get tired of kids being told they have to wear the mask. I mean, just like a few weeks ago, we had a pool party at the school, and in Korea, you're not you're allowed to take your mask off outside, but at this pool party, you had to wear the mask, and you're outside, you're swimming, you're sliding down a slide, and you're wearing masks. Like, I just think there's no words. It just makes no sense. That's about as respectful and polite as I can be, and just like I remember like I was scolded really badly for not wearing a mask outside. And honestly, that's when I decided, like, I'm sick of this. Like, I'm leaving Korea after my contract. So, honestly, the coronavirus rules are one of the top reasons I want to leave, is just because I feel like Korea has just not gotten over COVID and just refuses just to let it go. Sure, things have gotten better. Like, there's no more curfews on businesses, and you can gather with as many people as you want. But we're still doing the mask thing. And Korean citizens, it's not like Americans, where Americans and other Western nations, and even other nations in general, protest COVID rules. Korean people, Japanese, typically the same. They just go along with all the rules. They don't protest. Like 98% of the people just wear the mask. They don't complain about it. They go along with any rule that the government imposes. And even if something is not from the government, like wearing a mask at a pool party, everyone just goes along with it. I'm a foreigner. There's nothing I can do about it. So I just think the COVID rules also play in the factor of just me wanting to not stay there beyond my contract. I mean, I want to be somewhere where wearing a mask is an option. Like, it's been proven, like, it's more than obvious at this point that the masks don't stop infection and transmission of COVID. Like, masks at best can help you with air pollution, but I digress. It's just something I've just gotten very tired of, and that's it. I mean, I like breathing fresh air. It's nice. I go to a supermarket, and I digress. So the COVID rules are also another reason. And another reason is I just feel like I can make more money somewhere else as an English teacher. My full intention is to eventually return to the United States and settle down permanently, and I don't want to be a foreigner for the rest of my life, but I feel like there's a lot of money to be made in teaching English. And in Korea, like, the most a foreigner can probably make teaching English is like 3 million won a month, which is around like 2,700, 2,800 US dollars a month. And that only happens like if you've been at the same place for a long time. And so I feel like I could make more money somewhere else. And in Korean culture for foreign English teachers, you can't really make much money as an English teacher. And so typically salaries are like between 2.3 million to like 2.5. And yes, you can make 3 million, but that's usually only if you've been at the place for a while. And even if you make 3 million, that's the cap. That's where it stops. So you won't really make more than 3 million won a month. The only people who do are like Korean people who teach English. But as a foreigner on a foreign visa, 3 million and that's it. So to sum it up, better opportunities somewhere else, COVID rules, work culture, and personally, like, I'm a very extroverted person. I'm a certain way, and I just feel like Korean culture and I just don't get along well. So if you're Korean or if you love Korea, don't be offended. I'm going to make more videos, and I'll make positive videos too. I've traveled many places in Korea, and I love them, and I really love the nature. I love traveling, so there are a lot of things about Korea I like. So if you're thinking, well, you're too negative, just be patient. Not every video is going to be something that is negative. So I have about 6.5 months left until my contract finishes, and maybe stay like an extra week, maybe a few days later. My intention is to get a job in another country. As the time gets closer, I will talk more about that, but for the time being, just know I'm going to finish my contract, and I don't intend to come back to Korea after my contract. Well, to keep working in Korea. Anyway, hoping everyone's having a good day. I go back to Korea in 3 days, so just spending my last few days here in South Florida. Nice, beautiful weather. So anyway, hoping everyone's doing well. Please subscribe to my channel. Spread the news about my channel. It's going to get better, and like I said, I have more plans for this channel. So anyway, thanks for watching, and have a nice day.